I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's our regular meeting of the trustees for February 2nd.
We'll call the roll. Mr. Mahoney.
Here.
Mr. Generline.
Here.
Mr. Crandall.
Here.
Simcoe. Here.
Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for January 19th. I'll move approval of the minutes.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Generline.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, next is a motion to go into executive.
We have additions.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I have one addition to the agenda under the fire department. It's a resolution to declare a vacant full-time firefighter paramedic position due to a retirement.
Does that have a number?
16016.
Okay, thank you.
Now you're up.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session regarding pending or imminent court action at 5:02.
Second.
I'll call the roll. Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Generline.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes. I'll make a motion to come out of executive session at 6:01.
Second.
Calling the roll. Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. Generline.
Yes.
And,
Mr. Mahoney stepped into the restroom and he should be back momentarily.
okay, well, we have 2 votes, so it passes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, hearing of the public. Do we have
Nobody signed in.
nobody? Okay. Zoning department. Well,
Darrell, do you have anything?
I have nothing.
thank you.
Anything for Darrell?
Road and service department, monthly report. Rob?
Good evening. I submitted the monthly report previously for your review for January. Some key points. We did have some snow and ice control events, even though the weather been fairly mild. We are continuing to do our pre-treatment before events. That gives us some leeway to get our crews mobilized before additional freeze and ice pack can occur. We had a successful tree disposal pickup here at the township hall area. It concluded today. We disassembled all the barricades, but it seemed to be very successful even up until this weekend. We had trees in there. During the lull and the snow and ice control events, we've been focusing on ditch improvements and cleaning. Another in the ditch area, we did some improvements in there. 2 items that aren't on there are slicker ditch, which is a ditch that, it's a fairly long ditch that runs in the Central Park area. We just cleared some brush and debris through there, and we are now focusing in a Meade-Durbin area and cleaning out and adjusting the flow line of that area. Some additional items that weren't on there as well as I did attend the Ohio Township Association conference and participated in several very informative meetings to include a cemeteries lecture and the OPWC ratings and applications process, which is Ohio Public Works Commission. Service Department performed their routine fleet service, and as you can see, some other miscellaneous items. The second page just shows the projects that we'll be tracking for this year for resurfacing and curb repair and some other additional upgrades for infrastructure. If you don't have any other questions, that's all I have.
Any questions for Rob? Neil?
Thanks.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Next up is the additional resolution I entered into the fire department. Chief?
Good evening.
Evening.
Due to a letter I received from Scott Smith, our Scott Smith, not your Scott Smith, he has intent of retiring after 25 years of service. His retirement is effective at 0700 hours tomorrow morning. I'm asking the trustees to approve Resolution 16-016 to replace that full-time position for the fire department.
Is that like typical, people leave, do they give 2-week notice, is there?
Well, he gave about a week notice. It's not typical, but
Okay. I'll offer Resolution 16016 to fill a vacated full-time firefighter paramedic position due to retirement. Second.
Call the roll, Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Police Department, Chief Bowman, do you have anything? Anybody have anything for Chief Bowman? Next up is the administrator, and I have the first item is a discussion of the agency funding and TMCOG dues for 2016. I think you have those in front of you, and I'll open up to discussion among the trustees.
I'll start, I guess, on SCAD. I think we gave them $3,250 last year. I believe their request this year is $3,000 more, $6,250. The city provides them $15,000. I've talked to the chief and the administrator. I think we all feel that there are issues in the community with alcohol and drugs, and it's probably a good program. They asked us if we could get up to match the city over a period of years. I'd like to see us do that, but for this year, I think we should do the additional $3,000. And I don't know if you want to take this year to year, or how you might want to do that. The next is the Arts Commission. Their request this year was $3,000. The city contributes $12,000. On this group, this is actually a city commission, where I think SCAD's a joint effort. So I don't know that we should be, my feeling is I'm not sure we need to match the city's contribution. And the $3,000 seems reasonable to me. That would be 25% of the city's donation. The next one is Surveying Area Family Services. We increased them from $10,000 last year to $11,000. The city gives them $30,000 a year. They ask for...
Why are we interested in what the city gives them?
Well,
I mean, they have a different funding system than we do, and, I
Well,
mean,
that's
it
fine.
kind of looks at us like we're not holding our share, but it's a different structure and a different person, and I mean,
That's
to
fine.
raise budgets that much is just, to me, difficult, when we
Yeah.
know
Well-
we've had a shrinking budget and things,
Sure.
so I don't know why
Well,
we...
let me finish.
Okay.
Sure, I don't have...
But, I mean, we keep going over it, and they double our thing, and they get an income tax, and we don't.
No, I'm not. I'm just thought you'd be good to know what the city's...
I don't care what the city does.
Okay, well, that's all right. All right. And they asked for $15,000 this year. I think we could do that over a period of 2 years. I'm not saying the goal is necessarily what the city does. However, I feel with SCAT, that's certainly money well spent with the problems we have in the community. But, John, you know...
Does the school contribute to SCAT?
I'm not sure that we have that information. I think so, but I don't know the amount. For instance, they do do you know that, Susan? I don't have the request in front of us. But I noticed, but I do know the school furnishes the building, the offices, I'm not sure about the furniture, at no rent, but I don't know that we know what that's worth. But I would guess it's more than,
They have in-kind services.
what's that?
They provide in-kind services.
Yeah, but do you know the value of that? I don't think I do, but it's phone, and their offices are in the school's administration building. And I don't know if they do anything, they do a lot with the schools, you know, for fundraisers, their 24-hour relay, that kind of thing. I don't know anybody's put a value on. Oh, Chief might know, yeah.
I do know that whenever they use a facility, they have to pay for that facility if they're going to open up a facility such as it's raining with a walker light or something, and it's on the weekend, they pay for that.
But they don't pay for the rent, do they?
No,
I don't think the office space,
no, they don't pay for the office space. That's like Susan says, in kind.
I get a little concerned where, you know, SCAT's pretty much almost contracting our fire, or policemen to patrol certain times from parties and things, and, you know, like, I guess that blurs my line of who's in charge. If we're in charge as trustees over our police department or SCAT, I mean, where are they getting, obviously, we're giving them money, and then they're giving it back to our police department to provide patrols. I mean,
I think according to the request this year, they don't have the funding for that, John. I'll let the chief.
You know, they do, they're awarded grants and such too, and they use that grant money to specifically party patrol and underage consumption compliance with the carryouts and such, and you know, they pay out overtime to work those things, to extra patrol it on certain weekends and different things like that. That answers your question.
I think the budget shows zero for this year. I don't know if that's because they lost a grant or
I mean, I think we just have a lot of duplication of services in our community. I mean, our police is what I consider is the anti-drug and enforcement, and our schools, they should be in there teaching anti-drug and the impacts it has on not only an individual but a community. And just to have another organization that, I don't know, I mean, I know our fire chief has been very involved in it, but, you know, it's just one more thing that we're handing, and not that I want to stop handing out money, but taking it up to $3,000, almost doubling it, seems, I don't know. Neil?
You know, I agree, I mean, I'd agree with you from the standpoint, John, of our funding mechanisms are different than cities, and, you know, we're on a much smaller scale when it comes to the collection of taxes, and I guess, let me ask you, what, you think like another 1,500 more, or do you want to keep it at where it's at? I mean, go halfway or something, and...
I mean, how much did our take increase this year as a township? I mean, are we expecting, yeah. In the general fund where this would be coming out of, I mean, is it going up that much that we can increase there by that percentage, or?
John,
I think our percent was 2% growth, you know, Joe? Yeah, 2%.
Again, I kind of more of a percentage and incremental type person, and if our budget's only going up 2%, to start jumping other budgets within that budget seems a little like we're going to come to a problem here soon.
what did we budget in this category?
We have additional budget, I think it's $20,000. We always budget that amount, but I can't remember spending all that money that we budgeted, because we always use, you know, we put enough in there so whatever you guys decide within reason, we can do. But that's just a budget figure, now you guys decide how much to give them.
I mean, I do know this heroin epidemic that the chief talks about, and I know that as being a personal contributor of SCAT, the Mahoney family, for various functions, golf outings and things like that, I do see some merit. I don't know I rely on, you're on that board, and I rely on what the chiefs say, if you guys think it's something worth being a part of this, and you're telling me they need more. I'm not overly, I get the 2% makes a lot, what you're saying, John, I know where you're coming from on that too. It is kind of a catch-22, but if you guys are saying, it's the community is what we really are looking, if we got big problems like we do, I've got two friends of family friends of mine that are in heroin rehab right now. It's a bad thing, and I'm not too caught up about a couple of grand. But if you don't want to go all the way, we don't have to. But I just think for a good show that we're serious about eradicating a bad disease in this township, I think I'm not too hung up on it. But I guess that's the answer to that.
Chief, what do you think? You're closest to it, the problem. Chief Bowman. You got two, sorry.
Yes.
Chief, what do you think, Chief? Yeah, is it a good program, or?
I think it's a good program.
One thing I'll say off the top of my head is I have kind of a conflict. Because I just got on the Sylvania Area Family Services Board. It was your wish to have me on there. And so I sat through a 2-hour budget meeting, my first meeting last Thursday, and learned all about, their financial woes and things like that. And it gave me some perspective, but I had always wondered why Sylvania Area Family Services got so much more than SCAT before, okay? But reference specifically to SCAT, I think they address mostly the alcohol problem and stuff. Quite honestly, the heroin problem that the fire chiefs can address and such, those are mostly 30 and 40-year-olds, okay? It's not to say there aren't some kids. We got the conviction for, the terrible death of the 17-year-old, a year and a half ago. We just got that conviction. But I think it's a proactive program that is good. They do, like I said, they do fund our police department for the overtime incurred when we have our party patrols during the homecoming and graduation and such, and then to keep the carryouts in line as far as selling alcohol to underage. So I think it's a proactive, good program. Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, thanks. I don't think anybody's saying it's a bad program. It just, I'm
not saying you didn't say that either. I hope you didn't.
No, I just, again, I think we've got multiple organizations doing the same thing, and sometimes that's what it takes, but I'm one vote, so however you guys want to fund it.
Well, to get something started, I guess I'll make a motion let's take them separately. SCAT to go to $6,250 next year.
I would like to see 3 O's on all these guys. I mean, I'd like to work. I think if we could get to, give them another 1,500 or 2,000 and be done with
Well,
it.
my motion dies for lack of a second, so I'll leave it to you two guys to make a motion. One of you.
How about 4,500?
5 and we got a deal.
Well, Chief, how much do they give the police department back? I mean, what if we started covering those costs? Because those are more accountable and things that we can see and control. And I mean, again, like the schools, what if we do in-kind services instead of writing checks that sooner or later we're not going to have money for?
You know how much they reimburse you?
Not off the top of my head.
I would
It's not a
support,
great amount, I will say
1,000?
I will, I'd support that, that we don't take money for the compliance checks. I think that's what you call it, in the party patrol. I don't have any problem with that.
Well, certainly, yeah, I mean, it comes out one end or the other. You know, we could, that's not good. But certainly, we could, you know, we could fund that. It would cost us overtime, okay? And we'd be just paying that directly out of our police budget, okay?
Are you talking $2,000?
I'm talking between the party patrol and compliance checks.
Maybe a couple, $2,000?
$2,000,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
I mean, if we want to do that out of the police budget, you know, it's not good.
right. But that's a reasonable thing is, that way, instead of giving them more money, they just give it back to the police, give them whatever you decide, and then police will cover the party patrols as a community service. I mean, it is.
And we might be able to do it without overtime.
Yeah. It is a community service. I mean, it's not something like we're just, you know, we're trying to help the community and drug buys and is it alcohol? Is it most of it alcohol?
Yeah, those things are focused on alcohol.
Yeah.
So the 4,500 plus that, you guys okay with that?
I'm going to leave it to you guys to make a motion and second it.
I
made a
don't know. I mean, that could be 10 grand, Neil.
Right. Well, why don't we find out what that would be, then we can vote on that the next meeting.
Well, and that's pretty discretionary. I mean, quite honestly, through staffing and such, through the community affairs officers not teaching there in the summertime and those kind of things, I could probably reduce the overtime that would be incurred by just looking at dates and staffing and such. You know, I could be pretty creative that way, to be quite honest.
Throw something out there, Neil, I don't care. I mean, you guys are heading in a different direction, and I'll go along with it. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but I just don't, I mean, you've been sitting on the board a long time with me, and I don't jump by numbers like that.
I know, you know. Can we hold off on that till next month? Let's just get some,
To the next meeting?
let's just, in essence, of time, keep moving, or what?
Next meeting?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
next meeting.
Hold off on all three.
And we'll,
If you want the numbers for what was spent last year, or what they gave us last year.
Yes.
yeah.
And why don't we do this? Do you guys, I mean, you're the chairman, but do you want to just, is there any of these we do feel comfortable with that we want to vote on tonight? Or do we want to chew on it and look at it?
I'm leaving that.
John, why don't you work with
If
the
you
three
want
of
to
us?
delay it, we can delay it.
Okay, I would recommend doing the team account, because that's just a dues.
Okay.
That's what they assess all their members based on the population and value to, I think they have like 50 members.
And
So-
John, why don't we do this? Could you go ahead and just get with the three of us so we all can mediate this?
Yes.
We know what number we can all be
John.
comfortable with?
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't have to sit and waste everybody's time here trying to figure
All
this
right,
out.
so I would then recommend a resolution just authorizing the $10,665 for the team account dues.
I'm okay with it.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Okay, next up is the fiscal officer, Mr. Simco.
Well, we have the month-end analysis that, there you see it, and it's actually for the end of December 15, and if you look at our revenues for the 15, they're actually really pretty good. Everyone was a little bit over what was, anticipated. Maybe the bigger thing is looking at our expenditures, and they're all below what was actually budgeted, which I think, again, is really good. And that for us, it's really good to see that. All of the funds, well, they collected more money than they spent, and all departments, I don't know, I think did a good job on holding the line on their expenditures, and then on the expenditures. I don't really have anything else to say, about it, other than that, since it's kind of late. Unless you have some questions, I'll move on into some resolutions I have here. If I can find them. Resolution 16-017 are some payments on some then and now purchase certificates, and payments were required before we were able to really create the purchase orders, and so we have some then and nows. And you guys remember, they're not really a favored thing. We try to avoid those, but if you think over the course of the last ever since I've been here, they've gone down and down and down, and if you think about this year, especially this past year, we've hardly had any, and that, we're kind of more on top of our game, I think. So I'd like someone to make a motion on that.
I'll make a motion, 116-017, then and now purchase orders.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
And then on transfer of appropriations 16-016, we need to really make some corrections to the original budget. We actually had a few things that weren't properly placed on the correct line when we sent down our appropriation. This is Mr.
I just wrote a number on the wrong line.
It'd be Mr. Smith that wasn't typing so well. So, but they are small numbers, but we need to get it correct.
Did you say it's 16, it's 108?
16-108, yep.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I'll offer resolution 16018, transfer appropriations.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Don't make that happen again, Scott.
And then the last resolution I have is 16-019, and that's appropriation for unencumbered balances. Expenditures, there were some things that we didn't expend in 15, and we're carrying them over to 16, and that's what these essentially really are here. And so we need a motion to do this.
I'll move resolution 16019, appropriation from unencumbered balance.
Second?
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And then I have one more thing to add, and I think it's important. You know, we were working on our bond refunding, and actually the bonds, it was wrapped up today. It got delayed just a little bit, and it's really good news. I don't know whether we kind of caught the economy at the right time, but we actually are doing we did much better on the sale of our bonds, and that we're going to be saving by doing this refinance $34,000, you know, per year in that. And we had thought it'd be somewhere around 20, I think, or 12. 12. And I don't know. I don't know whether we just kind of caught. Maybe it was the economy and that with the jitters in the stock market, but our bonds did well. We've got a good rating, and so you know, if you look at it, actually 12. I mean, we did it because we thought, well, we saved $12,000 a year, but you know, this is now talking about some more real money, I guess. 34 a year, $511,000 over the course of the 15 years, and so you know, it's really it's very good for us. I mean, it's just great, and probably need to just mention who you know, it takes a lot of people to do this, and John Zeitler worked very hard on it. Scott, you know, I was involved in conference calls on it as we, you know, Steve Zanto did a real good job on orchestrating this and putting it together. There's a bunch of other people, you know, bond counsel, other entities that were involved in this, and Scott and John honestly were more involved in the conversations than I was. I participated in several of them, but not as many as they did in orchestrating this. And so I think, you know, $511,000 over 15 years.
That's net too. 511 is after paying our costs.
Yeah, net of our expenses.
And as,
John,
just to kind of go on what Dave was saying, we did have a conference call with Standard & Poor's, and we had a good team, Dave, Scott Smith, myself, and Steve Santo, and we were on the phone for probably an hour and a half with Standard & Poor's, and they came back and affirmed our rating of AA plus stable, which is a very, very good rating, and that, I think, is one of the reasons why we got such a great interest rate. I think the interest rate was under 2%, 1.9.
1.92 total interest cost.
So we really went from about 4% average, the old one, to, and now we're down to about 1.9 for the new bonds that we just refunded. And as Mr. Simcoe said, yeah, we're saving $511,000 over the next 15 years by just doing, I'll be facetious, but just by doing some paperwork.
Awesome. Good work, guys.
That's all I have.
thank you, Dave. Just a reminder, John, I think when we did this, I mentioned I'd like to see this line back up in the fire department.
It unlikely will.
Equipment.
Well, that'll be up to you guys for budgeting, but it ends up
Yeah,
with the fire department.
I think you explained it doesn't automatically, but
Right,
get it there eventually.
okay.
Thank you. Hearing of the public, I don't think.
Nobody signed in.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion to go into executive session for compensation, non-union employees, all departments.
Second.
I should have said 6:29.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Back in. Hey, John, do you want to send these guys home? Is there any need for them to be around?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to come out of executive session at 7:02.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
I have nothing before the board, nothing else for the board.
Motion.
To adjourn at 7:03.
Thank you. Second.
I'm moving along.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, we be out.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Hey, Dave.
Let me shut this off.